Welcome back, Devils fans, and on Tuesday night, the NHL will hold its annual draft lottery to determine what teams are picking when, and our New Jersey Devils have a small chance at climbing up in the draft order. And let's just discuss the draft lottery for a minute. For those of you that might not be too familiar with it, the draft lottery was instituted in 1995 to essentially prevent teams from trying to tank. And what I mean by tanking is losing games intentionally to get a better draft pick. This was a problem for years, and traditionally the way the draft worked was, the worst team got the first pick, the second worst team got the second pick, the third worst team got the third pick, so on and so forth. And so once teams were clearly out of contention for the playoffs, teams would start to tank and lose games intentionally to get the higher draft picks. So the league saw this was becoming an issue, and so it instituted the draft lottery to try to prevent that sort of thing from happening. Coincidentally, a lot of people say that the Pittsburgh Penguins tanked in the 80s purposely to get the number one pick to draft Mario Lemieux, and he could have went to the Devils. But instead he went to the Penguins because of their tank, and it's interesting to think if the Devils got Mario Lemieux, how the kind of tales of both franchises, the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New Jersey Devils, the trajectories would have been very different from that point on. Obviously, Mario Lemieux being one of the greatest players in NHL history. But, that's a whole side note. You could look that up if you want. It's an interesting story if you look into the Mario Lemieux Pittsburgh Penguins thing. But so the draft lottery is to keep teams from tanking, to try to get the better pick. And the Devils have done very well in draft lotteries traditionally and have moved up some spots with the lottery, with the little balls going our way. And, let's just take a look. In 2017, the Devils went from number 5 to number 1. And that number 1 pick became our current captain, nicohischier, which was a great pick for the Devils. Obviously, he's our captain, very good two-way player. Can't say enough about Nico. And then in 2019, in the draft lottery, we went from number 3 to number 1 to get Jackhughes. Another very lucky kind of thing for the Devils to move up again to get the number 1 pick. A lot of people were pissed when we got it, and it is what it is. Jackhughes came to us, and the Rangers drafted second and got Capo Caco. I mean, what a difference between a number 1 and number 2 in that particular draft. And then the Devils were right back to the draft lottery again in 2020, and we actually went down a spot from number 6 to number 7, and that number 7 pick became everyone's favorite whipping boy, Alexander Holtz. 2021, yet another draft lottery year for the Devils. They stayed at the number 4 spot, which ultimately became Lukehughes, who was nominated for the Calder this year. Shout out to Luke. I had mentioned weeks and probably months ago that he most likely, I thought, was going to get a nomination for the Calder Trophy as Rookie of the Year in the NHL. And unfortunately, we all know this one is 1,000% going to Connor Bedard. But it's nice to get the nomination regardless, but that is Connor Bedard's trophy for sure. And then 2022, the boys hit again on the lottery, moving from number 5 to number 2. And that number 2 pick netted us Simonnemec. And now a lot of people are kind of looking at this draft lottery, a lot of franchises hoping and wishing. And the reality is the player that will be drafted number 1, Macklin Celebrini from Boston University, currently or just finished up playing under head coach, former New Jersey Devil, Jay Pandolfo. Celebrini is going to be a special player in the league, and a lot of teams are hoping to win the lottery to move up to number 1 and draft him. He's going to be a great player, and everyone wants to get that pick. We look at the Devils' current chances, and here's where it gets a little dicey. So here's our lottery odds. We're currently in the number 10 spot, and the percent that we draft at that number 10 spot is 73.3. So overwhelming favorite to happen is to stay at the 10th spot. And then there's an 18.4% chance we fall back one spot to number 11. And then you see there is a 0.9% chance we fall back 2 spots to number 12. And then you look at the upside, and this is where it's exciting. And you just cross your fingers and hope we hit the long shot. We only have a 0.1% chance to land the number 3 overall pick. We have a 3.7% chance to get the number 2 overall pick. and a 3.5% chance to land the ultra coveted number 1 overall pick in the draft and the rights to claim Macklin Celebrini. So there it is, folks. We have a little bit of a chance to go down and then really long shots to move into the 1, 2, or 3. The reality is, even drafting at number 10, should you use the pick, the number 10 pick should get you a pretty decent player for the future. You know, a top 10 pick in the first round. Obviously, there's busts a lot. You know, people draft guys that take a chance. You never know what's going to happen. And there's plenty of guys that have been picked in the top 10 that never really amounted to anything. But with that being said, the draft is for your future. And you guys know where I'm at right now. I am all about the now. And I do believe, even if we stay put at number 10 or even 11 or 12, whatever, even worst case scenario, a 12 pick, this pick has pretty decent value on the open market. Me personally, I have no interest in actually drafting a player with this pick. And the reason that is because 99% of the players you're going to draft are for, 2, 3, maybe even 4 years down the road. I am in complete win now mode, and I want to see the Devils bring in win now players, win now pieces to help this team get over the hump. And so I personally hope the Devils do not draft a player with this pick. I hope this pick is traded, or either whether it's straight up or packaged with other prospects or players. But I hope it's definitely traded before the draft to bring in win now pieces. And I'm going to go back to it, beating my old drum here. I want the Devils to package this pick with other picks, prospects, players, whatever it takes to land Brady Tkachuk from the Ottawa Senators and bring him to the New Jersey Devils. It makes all the sense in the world for the Devils, and if you make the right offer, it should make all the sense in the world to the Ottawa Senators. Not a lot of people have the depth and the amount of pieces available to the Devils, being picks, prospects, roster players, to make an attractive offer to the Ottawa Senators. And while Brady Tkachuk has never come out and flat out said he wants out of Ottawa, we all know through his interactions with the media that he's definitely frustrated, tired of losing. And I think given the opportunity to go to a team like New Jersey, I think he would really welcome that. And so I am imploring the New Jersey Devils to take this pick, package it up with whatever you need, and you send it on off to Ottawa, and you bring Brady Tkachuk to New Jersey. He will help this club immensely. Immensely. Brady Tkachuk on this Devils roster, unbelievable. It would be an unbelievable addition in so many ways. He'll make us tougher, nastier, drive the compete level up for everybody, and he just does it all. I've talked about this time and time again. He does it all. Scores, hits, fights, rallies the troops. He is the ultimate competitor and a guy that the Devils desperately could use. And so I hope we aren't drafting with this pick. I will come back within the next few days and talk about some guys that, if we are to use the pick, guys that are kind of on my radar. But I am severely hoping that we are not drafting a player with this pick and we're using it as an asset in a trade to bring in a win now piece, hopefully Brady Tkachuk. And I will say things would get super interesting, if somehow the Devils moved up into the 1, 2, or 3. I mean, now that pick is worth even more, and especially if you could win the number 1. Obviously, that's a very long shot for us, but if somehow we won the number 1, I'm not going to lie, I would love a kid like Celebrini, but that's still, and he'll probably, I'd imagine whatever team drafts him, he's going to be in the league next year. I mean, right now, San Jose, as you see on the chart, San Jose has the best chance of getting the number 1 overall pick, but Chicago has a decent chance as well, as does Anaheim. They're all in the double digits there. But if you have the number 1 pick, that's a very, very, very valuable piece. And I'll tell you what, guys, I would love Celebrini, but in reality, I personally value whatever that even number 1 pick in Celebrini, what that could bring you now as a win now piece. And that would be a huge trading chip to have. And so it'll be curious. We're more than likely going to stay at the 10 spot with a little chance to go down. We'll most likely be 10 or 11 or 12. That's just the reality. And the overwhelming favorite is the 10 spot where we currently sit. But things could get super interesting if we move up into that 1, 2, or 3, and especially if we move up to the number 1. Again, even with the number 1 pick, your boy is trading it for a win now piece. And really trying to make it the centerpiece of a deal to bring in Brady Tkachuk. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. What do you think about the Devils getting lucky in the draft lottery in the past? What do you think about our pick? What do you think if we stay at 10? Would you draft somebody? If so, who do you guys like? Would you rather trade the pick like me? Any other thoughts about the draft lottery, questions, comments, whatever, throw it out there in the comments. We got a Game 7 tonight, and the Rangers are starting up. Playoff hockey has been phenomenal, and love to see the Leafs get bounced last night in a Game 7 overtime. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. But the draft lottery will be interesting, and to see how things unfold leading up to the draft. I'm really hoping Fitzgerald gets active. We move this pick and whatever else we need to get Brady Tkachuk. If not, I look at what other possibilities are out there, but I have no interest personally in using this draft pick no matter where it falls. But throw it out there in the comments. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll be back soon to talk to you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.